Picture this 6:15 in the morning, Montana sky just turning gold steam, curling from my mug, and I'm standing on the same dirt my family's owned since before Eisenhower was president. That's the moment my phone buzzes, and on the other end is 911 dispatch telling me I've been reported for trespassing on my own land. I laughed so hard I nearly spilled my coffee. Seriously, what would you do if the law told you to leave the place? You've called home your whole life. I just pulled out my badge and told the dispatcher, "Ma'am, tell whoever called that Deputy Sheriff Ezra Blackwood is right where he belongs." And as fate would have it, I could see my neighbor Karen Peaton spying on me through her mansion's windows, face gone pale as winter snow. She still had those high-end binoculars pressed to her face, watching like she was auditioning for some suburban spy drama. You could smell the hay, the diesel, the whole weight of a real working morning. I knew right then this was going to get messy. And not the kind of messy a bucket of soapy water fixes. You know what I mean? If you've ever had a neighbor try to run your life, drop a comment and tell me where you're watching from. Bet some of y'all have even crazier HOA stories than mine. Let me back up for a second. My name's Ezra. I'm 45, been a deputy sheriff most of my life, but after a rough divorce, I moved back to this old farm my grandfather bought with his GI Bill money in '43. It's 40 acres of honest work, creaky barns, and dirt under your fingernails, the sort of place I figured I'd grow old in peace. That is until Willowbrook Estates sprouted up right across my fence line. 47 luxury homes, every mailbox matching flags for every season, and more security cameras than the local bank. Most of the folks, honestly, were good neighbors, bought vegetables from my stand, let their kids feed Buttercup the goat, even helped stack hay when the storm came. But not Karen. Karen Peaton, bottle blonde, dripping in floral perfume. So strong, even my chickens would stop and stare PhD in art history, and she'd make sure you knew it married to Braden, who just happened to own the company that built all those McMansions. Their house, biggest on the block, with a lawn so green you'd swear they piped in water from the Rockies. She walked over one Tuesday morning, heels stabbing my gravel, clutching a folder so thick I thought maybe she'd come to sue me for existing, Mr. Blackwood. She goes with that smile that could sour milk. "I'm here on official HOA business." I said, "Ma'am, I'm not part of your HOA." She laughed this dry, screechy thing and waved some paperwork at me. "When Willowbrook was incorporated, your property was grandfathered in. You have 30 days to bring this agricultural situation into compliance or face $500 a day in fines." She wanted me to bulldoze my barn, get rid of the chicken coop, the veggie stand, basically erase 80 years of my family's blood and sweat. Her smile said she expected me to just roll over. But something in the way she kept eyeing my fields like she was measuring it for her next big project gave me chills. Here's the twist. Most Willowbrook folks, like me, even cheered for the farm. But Karen, she rallied a handful of her closest followers and threatened lawsuits if the council didn't crack down. That night, rocking on my porch, listening to Buttercup chew grass, I realized this wasn't about chickens or aesthetics. Karen wanted my land, and she wasn't going to stop. That woman would call 911 on her own shadow if it meant getting her way. Sure enough, she filed complaints, said I was polluting the neighborhood, attracting rodents, lowering property values, and on and on. She got 12 signatures out of 47 homes, barely enough for a bowling team, but she posted those names like she'd just won the lottery. She even made my tidy little farm look like a disaster zone in pictures just to scare people online. But see, Karen had never bothered to actually read her own HOA's legal paperwork. And 15 years as a cop will teach you the devil's always in the details. So I drove down to the county courthouse and dug through every document. Buried deep in the original agreement in language drier than toast was a clause stating any existing farm would be permanently exempt from HOA restrictions. Permanently. I couldn't wait to watch her try to fight that. I even called for a health inspection, just to shut her up. Janet, the county inspector, looked over my place and said it was cleaner than most million-dollar operations. Vindication tastes a whole lot better than bitterness, let me tell you. But then the story took another left turn. Braden Karen's husband cornered me one evening as I was packing up the veggie stand. "Ezra, what'll it take to buy you out 40% over market value cash?" The same people saying my place ruined their home prices were offering me more than it was worth. That's when the light bulb went off. This was a land grab, pure and simple. I told him this place isn't for sale. He looked like he expected that, but something in his eyes said the stakes were higher than I'd guessed. Word spread quick. The local paper ran a headline about my farm under HOA. Attack neighbors rallied around 3 families, withdrew their support for Karen's petition, even apologized publicly. That's when I started documenting every single thing: calls, letters, conversations. Montana's a one-party consent state, so my phone recorded every bizarre accusation, every threat, every bit of Karen's campaign. She didn't slow down, though. Her posts online got more hysterical, more personal, to the point she was taking zoomed-in photos of my chickens and posting them as evidence of public danger. She called animal control, the sheriff, every agency she could, but all anyone found was a happy goat and 3 very friendly chickens. Instead of arguing, I just piled up the paperwork. Now here's where things get wild, a twist even I didn't see coming. Karen started parking her BMW across my stand's entrance, blocking customers, writing down license plates like she was some sort of secret police. But instead of sparking a fight, I just recorded it all and filed harassment charges. Neighbors started showing up anyway, some just to see the circus, others to buy veggies out of spite. Even the local sheriff dropped by for tomatoes and made a joke about how dangerous my farming was. But something was gnawing at me about Braden's offer. I dug deeper and, wouldn't you know, found plans for a new luxury development that needed my land filed months before Karen's first complaint. The whole HOA harassment was just step 1 in a business scheme to force me off my property. When that got out, veterans from town set up lawn chairs at my driveway, making sure folks could get through, and Mrs. Patterson, bless her, told Karen to buy something or get lost. My farm went from quiet to the county's weekend hotspot, all thanks to Karen's campaign. But Karen's escalation didn't stop there. She hired an expensive lawyer, filed a lawsuit claiming I'd cost the whole neighborhood $200,000 in lost property values. Joke was on her. My ex, Sarah, is a prosecutor, and she helped me track Karen's patterns across multiple counties. Turns out Peton Construction had pulled this scam before harassed rural owners flipped the land to shell companies rake in profits. The DA's office got involved, and suddenly Karen's little war was on the radar of people who wear suits and don't smile much. Karen, meanwhile, was going off the rails: midnight property line checks, false police reports, trying to bribe the county inspector to condemn my barn. She left a paper trail so thick you could wrap fish in it for weeks. Bob the inspector turned her in as soon as she tried to slip him cash, her first provable felony. Still, Sarah said, let her keep going. Every desperate move made our case stronger. By now, the whole community was backing me, and Willowbrook's so-called HOA was starting to unravel. When I finally subpoenaed their financial records, I found out the HOA was never legally registered. Karen had been running a fake organization, collecting over $300,000 straight into her own checking account, spending it on vacations. Her BMW, even community improvements that went right into her pool. She was basically running a protection racket with HOA letterhead. I brought all of it, boxes of evidence, to the DA, and we set the trap. Karen called an emergency meeting threatening legal action if people didn't show. We let her rant on waiving charts and evidence until she demanded the crowd make a citizen's arrest of me. That's when I walked up, pulled out my badge, and handed her a stack of warrants. Fraud, embezzlement, tax evasion, you name it. She'd done it. Karen went out in cuffs ranting about conspiracies while neighbors cheered, and the federal agents explained that every single person in Willowbrook was owed restitution. 6 months later, Karen got 3 years in prison, a mountain of fines, and my favorite part, community service hours on local farms. Willowbrook rebuilt this time the right way, with real transparency and protections for working farms. My little operation became the biggest community hub in the county. The annual Harvest Festival drew crowds from 3 states, and my story ended up changing property laws across Montana. Funny thing is, I found happiness in places I never expected. Sarah the vet, who started helping during the mess, became my partner. We're planning a wedding in the apple orchard Karen tried to bulldoze. The farm's thriving local kids learning where food really comes from, and the old mountain air carries more laughter now than ever. Sometimes the best revenge isn't just justice, it's building something better in the ruins of somebody else's bad intentions. And now I want to hear from you. What's your HOA horror story? Drop a comment below and share your run-ins with neighborhood bullies, because you'd be amazed what rights you actually have and how many people will stand with you when you finally push back. If you liked seeing Karen get what she deserved, hit that like button, subscribe, and stick around. There's plenty more stories where this one came from, and the next one, well, let's just say Montana's not the only place where karma comes knocking.